what are 5 things that I learned in my 20s that I would love to impart to you, whether you're someone in your 20s or really it's for anyone that is still trying to get these concepts because they're pretty much timeless for any age. But as you know, the earlier you learn a skill, the more beneficial, the more it compounds. So here they are. I've got 5 tips and then I've got a bonus tip at the end. So stay tuned, mister. I've got this guy. This is my Fred Rogers figurine that sits on my desk. I love him. Every time you press his trolley button, he gives you another word of advice. So let's see what today's word of advice is.
You've made this day a special day by just your being you.
That's true. Absolutely. So Fred Rogers is a hero of mine. And he sits there on my desk and looks at me all day. And if I need a little pick me up, I just tap the train there and he gives me a little pick me up. So here's 5 things that I wish I learned in my 20s. Number 1, it is better to do something than nothing. Sounds pretty duh, right? But the truth of the matter is I am a very indecisive person. I'm avoidant. I wait around and let things just go. And they become bigger problems. They become missed opportunities. Absolutely have wisdom and maybe give yourself 24 hours between having to make a decision and like making the decision at least, and give yourself maybe 24 hours. If it's like a big life decision, obviously give yourself a week or whatever, but give yourself a little bit of space, but then just make the decision and then course correct over time. Make a decision, course correct. It's so much better than waiting around and letting your time pass by. Number 2, buy only what you need and invest the rest and save the rest. Boy, this sounds so simple, but buy only what you need. Buy the 1 or 2 things that you think you need for XYZ project. Don't assume you need something and just buy it because some YouTuber told you to buy it. Really only purchase things that solve an obvious need. If you can't answer the question of like what need does this solve immediately, then skip it. Like save your money and then obviously invest. If you can find yourself a 401k at your job, that's great. Roth IRAs are out there. I'm sure there is plenty of better financial advisors out there, but be careful with your money. Obviously, you don't want to give your money to someone else and say, invest this for me. Invest in things that you understand and go to an expert, obviously, for some assistance there. But really, I'm not trying to give financial advice here. I'm just trying to tell you, just buy the things that you need. Live on less than you make. Lower your expenses as much as you can. There's so many subscription costs now with Spotify and Apple Music and Apple TV and all Netflix and all the things that just keep stacking up. Keep those to a bare minimum. Use your library card for God's sake. Like seriously, save your money. Don't spend it on freaking subscriptions. Save your money, save your money, save your money. Number 3, always be learning and trying new things. Again, none of these things are things that I've conquered or mastered in my, I won't even say, I'm getting much older, but these are things that I wish I would have known. But this is very true of any age. Always be learning new things. The moment you stop trying new things or trying to grow, you become stagnant and flabby, as it were. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but just like your muscles stop working the way they should be. And that's really true of your brain and being outgoing and trying new things. Don't get stuck on your 1 or 2 or 3 hobbies that you have and just say, this is who I am now. Just keep trying new things and exploring. Don't be so set on the 1 or 2 things that you're interested in, and really spend your time with people that aren't like you. Don't just believe what social media tells you, that this group votes this certain way, so therefore we disassociate with them, or this person thinks this about XYZ subject, so therefore they're not worth my time. Absolutely have boundaries and values and stick to those things, but explore, read new books, try out for that play, take a class, do something that scares you a little bit all the time. Number 4, start journaling every single day. This is something I wish I would have done. And I'm not one that like journals and then reads back on things, so I don't really care about that so much, but just getting the habit of listening to that voice inside of you and writing down. This is something I'm very poor at, and at my age now, I've discovered that it's very hard. It's harder and harder to like hear yourself. It sounds so strange, but you really need to exercise that muscle of learning who you are and what's inside of you, and getting that onto paper. Right when you wake up, fill a page with anything that's on your mind. Don't do any negative self-talk. Don't put yourself down. Everything should be positive in that moment, but just jot down anything on your mind so that you can get it out of your brain onto a piece of paper. Don't edit it. Don't backspace. Don't scratch things out. Just write. Fill up a page right when you wake up. Get all the things out of your mind onto a piece of paper, so that's out of your heart and onto, I don't know, into a blank page, like Taylor Swift would say. Number 5 is going to ruffle some feathers potentially, and I really want you to just hear what I have to say based on my experiences. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone out there, but this one's going to maybe kind of ruffle some people. And that is, stay away from religious groups or people that require your full attention and resources. I was a part of religious organizations for years, especially in my 20s, especially in the times where I had the most energy, the most ability to burn the midnight oil, or the most time, basically. And I feel like I was persuaded to use that time for the greater good, but it wasn't really the greater good. It was to build this little thing for other people. It was anything that really, where people are like, hey, let's do life together. Let's give up every night of our week to this organization, or anything that like requires your full attention, where it's like, oh, you shouldn't take a class and do this or better your career or anything, because we should give that time over here to this group. Just be really careful of that stuff. I'm not saying don't have beliefs and don't have faith and don't have time for your faith group or go to church. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm saying steer clear of organizations, specifically religious ones, that want you to do life with them, that care more about the greater good than the immediate good of the people in the building. It's sad. And I'm not saying don't give to charity. I'm not saying don't support groups that do humanitarian good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't write a check out to these organizations that claim they're doing great things for the kingdom, and they're not. They're just building this little thing here down the street, and they don't, and they vote for whatever organization. It's like, yeah, I could just rant about this all day, but stay away from religious organizations if you can. I'm not an atheist. I'm not agnostic necessarily, but I'm telling you to stay away. And this last one is a bonus tip, and it is to stay light. This kind of ties into point number 2, but it's not. It's more than that. It's like, don't put too much baggage in your life. Don't have too many expenses. Don't have it too much overhead to where you can't move and live your life. Sometimes that means not working 60 hours a week. Maybe it means this week you need to work 35, and giving yourself a little bit of space to learn and grow. Things in your life that are weighing you down, get rid of them within reason. Again, it all has to do with boundaries and values and knowing who you are. So hopefully you enjoy this little therapy session with me. If you like this video, hang around. I do reviews about tech and productivity and life. And then sometimes I just throw this little journal entry at you, and hopefully it's beneficial to someone out there. And if you're still here, love you. I'll see you in the next one.